Welcome to the Root of It All podcast with Tree, where you will learn new habits for human betterment. We talk about all things related to personal growth, and everything is on the table. Each episode will explore different topics like self-care, mindfulness, goal setting, and more, with a focus on practical tips and actionable advice you can start implementing in your life today. Our goal is to help you become the best version of yourself and live a more meaningful life. So grab a drink, cozy up, take your dog for a walk, or go for a drive. Join us for some fun and meaningful conversations with some amazing humans. Let's grow together. Hey everyone, you are here with the Root of It All with Tree, and I am here with Chris. So super cool. We're actually in the same space, which is awesome. And I actually might start doing this more because this is really cool. So Chris is going to talk to you in a second, and he is my kickboxing instructor, which is super cool, and I want to teach all of you what I learned, and then I also want to get his take on what I'm saying. But one thing that I wanted everybody to know is just about having him here is very different than having somebody on Zoom. So I actually might start doing this more because you can connect with people's energies better. And when I'm kicking your ass, or you're kicking mine.
Yeah, more the opposite.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you get into kickboxing?
Well, my entire life I've been a football player, so it was actually later in life that I got into kickboxing. Like as a kid, I did a little bit of martial arts, like taekwondo and things like that. But after football was over and in university, I went to university just south of Pittsburgh. After that was all over and I had come home, I was searching for something, and I've always been an athletic guy. And then I've always been also into boxing and kickboxing and martial arts. So it was just something that I just never really dove into because I was so serious about football and kind of had the blinders on in that aspect of my life. But I needed something new and something different. So then I went to the gym in my town, which is in Hamilton, which is, if you want to do like martial arts or mixed martial arts, you go to Jocelyn's. So I went to Jeff there, and then Jeff, Jocelyn, and Hamilton started training me. And then that's when you started getting some amateur fights and a couple pro fights, and really started getting into it seriously. So kind of just stemmed from wanting something else, and from after a football career is over, and then it really just kind of engulfed my life for about 5 or 6 years, and I really loved it and became my passion, and then it kind of brought me, and then that kind of also brought me to GoodLife now, and which is where I can train people in strength and conditioning like I did in football, and also in boxing and kickboxing, which is what I'm passionate about.
And it was so interesting how you and I met too, because Kyle, which everybody who's listened to the other podcast, Kyle, which is my personal trainer, went away, and then you were, his fill-in, and then I found out what you did, and I was like, oh, we have to do that, and which is awesome. And so I want to teach all of you what I've learned from kickboxing and how it's changed my life. So with kickboxing, first of all, you can't think about anything else when you're doing it. And so that's one thing. So it's almost like you're literally in the moment, and there's no way that you can't, right? And so teach us a little bit about that, because you told me about your experience of that and what you enjoy about it.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing about it. Is what I need about it is to just stop thinking. You're really only great at kickboxing or at martial arts is when you stop thinking. It's because of so many reps and so many movements and doing, something that could be so repetitive over and over, and a million reps at the same thing, but it allows you to string all the movements together, and then it starts to become just second nature to you, where your brain actually turns off and it becomes very much meditation. So, as much as you want to lie down when you're meditating and never try to turn things off, but I'm kind of a physical person, so in order for me to...
Not kind of, you totally...
Super physical person. So in order for me to really turn my brain off, I have to really kind of use everything and kickbox and use my boxing and all the training to really turn my brain off so that it becomes, super active, super physical, but almost like a dance in which you're turning things off and letting your stop thinking and just letting your body take over.
Mm-hmm. And which is why I really love it too, because I'm also highly kinesthetic, like what that in neurolinguistics we call it kinesthetic or physical, like what you were saying. So what people should know too, we're recording this and we have other clients just because I wanted to fit Chris in. So I can tell Chris, you gotta keep your voice down.
Sorry.
That's okay. So anyways, this is a little bit of a ride and a fun one for even the new year. So also too, which falls in line with like just making it happen, right? So even when you're kickboxing, it's like you're learning different punches, different kicks, different height of kicks, and you're just finding a new rhythm. So even right now we're filming this and fitting it in between just so that this is ready for everybody for the new year. It's just really jumping into it and doing it, right? So when you come to kickboxing, if you're apprehensive about it or you're like, oh, you're overthinking it, there's no room for overthinking. Also too, the thing that I learned a lot about with kickboxing and of course Chris is that it's just even when you're at exhaustion that you can actually go beyond that you can actually go, like your agility and endurance grows, but like, oh my gosh, like the fact it's I don't know, it's like mental, physical, that you can do more than what you even think that you can do. So what do you find even teaching it that you get value out of?
Well, so as a coach, getting the best value, obviously when people first jump in, everything, you're almost like you want to fill their cup overflowing. So I find people, once their cup starts to overflow because it's just too much information, too much technique, too much of everything, you kind of need to allow people's cup to overflow in order for them to then understand that they could, from a coaching aspect, then understand that, hey, you're not going to be a professional in one day or 1 week or anything like that. So you kind of understand there's so much out there and so much technique to learn that it's kind of like overfill a student's cup first, and then that lets them then realize, okay, I can't think so much because my cup's overflowing, so you can't fill your brain and be thinking all the time, because then you won't really allow any sort of that, mind-muscle connection or anything to start to develop until you kind of realize, okay, yeah, there is so much to learn, so just let the cup overflow, and then from that point, then you start learning with the different techniques and different repetition that, it's about turning the brain off and letting the million reps turn into just allowing you to do that. Because when people start thinking so much, but the cup's overflowing, and then it kind of short circuits everything. Mm-hmm. So what I think the value is just letting somebody's cup overflow, watching that in their face as a coach, and then they start to realize, okay, I need to just let my practice and my technique and my thing and take over and just kind of let go a little bit, as we all need to do, just kind of let go and let your techniques and things kind of take over.
Yeah, and that's oh my gosh, 100%. Just the more that we overanalyze things, the less that we're letting go. And so it is true, you just surrendering into the rhythm of it, right? And there's such a great rhythm and power to each movement too, like just even the punches and the kicks, and it's so much, well, first of all, it's fun, absolutely love it, and it's such a even almost like when you're letting go and your brain's turning off, dare I say it's somewhat spiritual as well, because you're connecting to this kind of what you're talking about, the rhythm, or like the I don't even know what to call it, but it's the same as like we're walking. We don't actually think about walking. We don't think about lifting up our leg, putting it down, or lifting up the next leg, putting it down. We're just in this continual rhythm of walking. And with boxing too, it's like that, which it's trusting in it, right? So even when we talk about spirituality, it's a lot of like, oh my gosh, before time, people have been trying to figure this out. Like, and nobody has. And we can choose to focus on trying to figure it out, or we can focus on just enjoying it and being in the moment, right?
Enjoying the dance, because it's a dance. So you just have to let go and enjoy the dance. And whether you're like meditating or doing things to make you feel better, to kind of turn the brain off, and it's much like dancing. I think, fighting and dancing, it's a way to stop thinking and just move and allow the movement to be your meditation, is what I really love about it. That's why I love dancing too. I just think
I did not know that about you. I truly didn't. But
I think it goes hand in hand, right? If you're if you're good at boxing or kickboxing or any martial art, you're usually pretty good at dancing, because it is a rhythm, and it's something that you just, over so many repetitions of doing it, you really enjoy the rhythm and the movement, and allowing the movement and the rhythm to take over and kind of take your mind, body, and soul over. So that's what I love about it. And it's just like dancing. Just let yourself enjoy the dance and stop thinking.
Well, which is about life too.
Yeah, and that's one of the techniques I think we talked about before when you were teaching me, was actually using dancing to really change your mind, your mindset as a tool. And I always found that was a great tool, because it's not like I can always start fighting and doing my movements somewhere. But dancing is something that you just, you crank the, turn on Alexa in the living room, and then boom, you can do that, and you don't look quite as crazy as doing my martial arts stuff, but it's like something you can do anywhere, right? So dancing kind of resets my mind, and then also makes you more positive and all that afterwards too. You just feel better after you just dance for 30 seconds.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it doesn't even have to take that much time. Yeah, whenever I'm at home, I dance to my dog. My dog looks at me just like, what are you doing? Are we walking? What is this? Right? So what advice would you give somebody if they're wanting to get started into doing either any kind of martial arts or boxing or kickboxing or anything like that?
I think first is to just show up. Obviously, always with the gym or with a dance class or a martial arts class or anything, is you gotta find a place and just show up. You can't think it. A lot of times we think ourselves out of it. So with most things we do, so you just gotta show up. You gotta do a class, and then you gotta keep doing the class, whether it's once a week or twice a week. It doesn't really matter how many times. You just gotta show up and make that a regular routine. So first thing is just find a place and show up, and then it'll really build from there, because once you find that place, there's a community within that too. So then you end up finding other people, and then finding what you love, and it might be a different martial art. Because at our gym, it's not just at my old gym, it's not just kickboxing, which is where my son goes now, so it still is our gym, but it's not just kickboxing, it's not just karate, it's not just, the stand-up martial arts, but it's also Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and you can find, and I also took judo as a kid. So it's just, you find what you love, and then you can it kind of knifes into forks into a few different avenues, and then you can also find, maybe it's not, karate or kickboxing or boxing. Maybe it is, you prefer to be on the ground and you prefer wrestling or jiu-jitsu or something, but you kind of just show up, and then you'll kind of find where you're going to go from there and find your path. But the key is to just sign up for a lesson and just show up, and then the rest will take care of itself, and you'll be thankful you did. Yeah.
And that's a really good advice, because that's true also anything in life. You have to show up for relationships, show up for any new thing that you want to learn, show up for your partner, show up for your kids, show up for work, for a lot of people right now, as we're coming out of COVID, in terms of creating communities, right? So you need to show up to be part of it, or to create a community that you want. One thing that I love about GoodLife is the community in there. Like, you go in there, everybody, as soon as you walk in, they say hi. It's like, there's no ego, there's no nothing. Everybody is just so humble and kind. And it's been like that consistently. I've been there for, I think over 10 years. Actually, yeah, over 10 years, because Yeah, maybe.
And I just had my 13th anniversary. They just sent my 13th anniversary over. So if you don't stay, I think like in my mid 40s, like I wouldn't be there this long if it wasn't like that. If it wasn't a community, if it wasn't like my martial arts gym where you found a place, you find a home. I don't think you stay somewhere or with a company that kind of doesn't have a little piece of that, where you can find a home and really have a community and enjoy the people you're around. It makes you stay there for a long time.
Yeah, and the cool thing is once you find your community, and then you're good, right? It's almost like you can settle in, and it allows you to learn more, to do more. Also, one thing that I want to mention too, a big thing about is the comedic undertone. Like you and I, like we laugh a lot, like just about like the silliest.
I don't take much seriously, so it's good that way.
Well, but it's important too that like even though you're in this rhythmic thing, and obviously we're not sparring. You just have pads on, and I'm hitting the pads, which makes it a lot easier. Because oh my gosh, imagine if I showed up for work with a black eye, that would be not good. But like just being humble. And that's really, do you
Mm-hmm.
find that doing the martial arts allowed you to be more humble?
Yeah, it takes the ego out, right? There really can't be if you get serious about fighting or about a martial art or about as much as a lot of people come into it with very big egos, the community washes that away pretty quickly, because there's always somebody better, there's always somebody tougher on any individual day, there's always somebody working harder. So you're going to run into people where no matter how big their ego, it gets squashed pretty quickly. And then the community is also good too, whether it be at GoodLife or at martial arts gym. The people around you need other people to be great. So an ego just gets in your way. You need each other. So if you have a big ego and you're hard to get along with, and you think it's all about you really can't accomplish anything, because nothing gets accomplished without it takes two to tango. So nothing gets accomplished with an overblown ego and thinking you're the greatest, because you're nothing without everyone else. You're nothing without your partner. So really, it takes that kind of community and everybody that way, because the people that do come in with ego, even though they may stay a long time, usually there's an ego check pretty early on, in which then they can check their ego at the door, and then become truly great together, because it takes a team.
Absolutely. And all of us as humans, there's nobody better or worse. We are all just ordinary human beings, truly. All of us as humans, we are completely just ordinary human beings. So we're just learning as we go. We're all along on our journey, just pushing. And it's important for us to push our body, push our mind, push our heart, push our spirit, to really be balanced. Otherwise we get bored, and then that's when we act out. That's when we end up in unuseful behaviors. So I encourage anybody to, entertain any of these things and to have fun and to, is there anything else you want to add about?
No, I think whether you want to get into a martial art, we all need something. So I think it's just adding something, whether it's dance or whether it's a martial art or whether it's the gym, whatever an outlet is, in order to be more positive and check your ego at the door, and just kind of let your body and kind of stop thinking for whether it's 40 minutes a day or an hour a day. It's just nice to just let the body take over, stop thinking, and then just enjoy the ride. Enjoy that rhythmic dance of whatever it is that you choose to do.
Yeah, pardon the pun on my last name, right? Yeah, and it's so rhythmic. It's so, I very much enjoy it, and I've learned so much off of Chris, and even just having the experience of doing the kickboxing, pushing my body to an extent where I didn't know where it could go. Even we're getting into some high kicks now, and I'm just a little thing. Actually, one more thing. I forget, somebody recorded us and they wanted to post it on the Instagram for GoodLife. And he showed me the video. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so much smaller than Chris, just because I'm so short. And how tall are you?
I'm all head. So.
You're all head.
That's why I'm filling up most of the screen.
Yeah, and I just have a little head. I'm all hair.
I'm just 6 foot, so.
Oh, well, you're still almost a foot taller than me. So. Yeah. So awesome. So we'll have Chris's bio and stuff and how to reach out or anything like that. We'll have all that information if anybody wants to. But thank you so much for squeezing this in before Christmas. And yeah, this was cool. So I definitely want to see when things don't work out to this plan is actually better, because then you're learning new ways and you're experiencing new things. So definitely I think I'm going to have people in person.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, folks, that's a wrap for today's episode of The Root of It All with Tree. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. But before we go, I just wanted to remind you that you can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram. And we will be posting motivational quotes and behind-the-scenes content that you won't want to miss. You can always sign up to come live while we're filming this, or even join us online through Zoom. We always offer open question and answer after each episode that we don't record, so it's all private, but you can get more involved. So sign up for free at businessgrowthresults.com, and we're going to cover all kinds of different topics that you're not going to want to miss. And if you're looking for that one-on-one guidance or help, be sure to book a free screening. You can do that at burlingtonhypnosis.ca or call 905-634-4777. And finally, you can catch our podcast on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. So be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.